Yeah, Posse YouTube, aka what's up YouTube? Welcome to week number 7 of VDL Season 7, the Uber season. The Durham Dragons are taking on Tom and his Claw Witchers. Make sure to leave a like and answer the comment question of the day later in the video, so check his channel out for sure. Now, at this point in the draft, we are 6-0. We are 100% locked into playoffs, and the remaining games are whether or not we want to try and get a top draft pick. Now, the thing about this matchup, though, is that Tom, I can definitely bet money will make playoffs. He is currently 5-1, if I'm not mistaken. So the thing about this matchup is I don't want to bring my absolute best prep. So we are going to be having a new Mon making its debut for the season in this matchup. So if you guys want to skip right to the battle, you can go ahead and do so. So the Mon making its debut is going to be Des Komala. Shout out if you guys get that nickname reference, aka Komala. We're rocking Assault Vest, a just super very bulky spread, and the idea is to lead with this because if you look at his draft, this pairs up pretty well as a lead against absolutely everything except for Zamazenta. I don't know why he would lead Zamazenta Crown, honestly. I don't think he would do that. Along with Zamazenta, though, his other Uber in Mewtwo is absolutely terrifying. Funnily enough, for our round 1 pick, I was between either Mewtwo or TERA Dragonite, and I decided to go with TERA Dragonite, and now we're facing a Mewtwo. His Terra Captain in Garganical is also very annoying. Landorus T is a Landorus T. It could be a bit of a problem. Reshiram, his other Uber, he's got 3 Ubers, which could be a little problematic. But leads wise, I think this honestly pairs up pretty good against whatever he wants to lead with, and then we can try and be supportive and do some stuff from there. But a key component of this draft is going to be Dragapult. We are dual screens Dragapult, yes. So the plan is to lead off Komala, see what he wants to do, go from there, get up our screens, and then hopefully just try and set up spam with hazard support from our Ting-Lu here. Spikes and Stealth Rocks. I don't think I've brought dual hazards Ting-Lu this season yet, but yeah, Rocks and Spikes, if we are able to get them up, that would be absolutely amazing. Obviously, he does have Mandibuzz with Defog, but we also have a contrary Enamorus. Now, I was debating on a couple different sets of setup Enamorus that I wanted to bring to this matchup. I think originally I was going to be like Calm Mind, but I was like, you know what, Superpower honestly also looks really good too, in case he does bring the Intimidate on the Landorus, sorry. So a brother versus sister here, and hopefully the sister comes out on top. But Superpower and Play Rough, if you look at his draft, hit everything for neutral or super effective damage. I don't really expect Muck to come to this game just because I don't think it honestly has that good of a matchup. So besides Muck, we damage everything pretty well. We can Tailwind to help our last 2 Mons offensively or help out Enamorus potentially. I could have gone No, I couldn't have gone Agility. I'm contrary. Tailwind helps us double our speed just in case, and then obviously Superpower lowering attack boosts our attack, and then Play Rough is just good stab, and Healing Wish there just for a last ditch effort, sorry, to get something in. First off, we have a Calm Mind Ho-Oh. 3 attacks, being able to hit everything for neutral or super effective damage. I would have liked to have Recover on this, but honestly, dual stab along with our power for the Garganical before Terra's was just way too handy in my opinion. And I mean, if screens are up, then we're able to live anything that he wants to go for on Ho-Oh here. So I'm hoping he won't be expecting special Ho, and this could potentially catch him off guard and get some KOs. And then our main win condition is going to be, of course, good old TERA Dragonite, Terra Ground with Dragon Dance, E-Speed, Ice Spinner, and Earthquake. I think I was Terra Ice with Ice Spinner, but the boost from Terra Ground to Earthquake was just really good. I think I did have Terra E-Speed at one point, but after thinking more about it, I was like, I like the damage output from Earthquake a lot more, especially if we are able to get up screens. We could potentially get off 2 Dragon Dances, and then at that point, it's basically good game, and I outspeed everything. So Earthquake's damage was greater than Terra normal E-Speed's damage. So with that being said, let's jump into the battle. Yeah, Posse YouTube, aka what's up YouTube. So quick disclosure, unfortunately this match is going to be post commentated, but it will be from my perspective. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, I was really rushing to try and get ready and set up for this match, and I did not look at my microphone, and the whole match I did live myself talking, but the audio was not recorded. So yeah, that's on me. So go check out our opponent here, Tom. His channel will be down below, so go support him and the other coaches of the VDL season. Answer the comment question of the day. Thank you guys for the support throughout this season as well. So looking at the matchup here, he ends up bringing the Muck. I was not expecting Muck to come to this game. Unfortunately though, it did show up, which is really annoying, but it is nice to not see Reshiram, his third Uber, and it's good to not see something like the Landorus T, which could have been a little bit annoying, especially to our Dragonite with that pesky Intimidate. So the game plan regardless is to lead Komala. Komala, it's making its debut here for the Carolina Haxorus in this season. So if we win this game, I think we have a pretty good shot at being first or at least second seed overall if we lose week 8 and 9. So winning this is very beneficial to us. Our opponent is currently 5-1, and they're also gunning for a very high seed for a chance to pick a better playoff opponent. So he ends up leading up for the Mana Buzz as I lead Komala. He goes for the Toxic. Not sure why he went for Toxic. Maybe he thought I would be faster than him and you turn out before he went for Toxic. I'm not sure. Either way though, we get off a little bit of chip. Turns out that he's Rocky Helmet, which in itself is slightly annoying, but you know what? It is what it is. We'll have to deal with that accordingly. Hopefully we can knock it off later in the matchup, as I'm debating on what exactly I want to bring in here. Unfortunately, I don't really have the best answers to Mandibuzz because I am a special Ho and my Enamorous is physical. If it was the other way around and I was physical Ho and special Enamorous, then my answers here would be a little bit better. So I bring in my Ho thinking, okay, maybe he's going to be fearing me going directly for a Sacred Fire, or because I have run Substitute on Ho before quite a few times this season, he might think I'm gonna go for a sub, so I can go from there as he decides to bring in the Garganical here. I go for the Hurricane. Unfortunately, it does absolutely zero, and now he knows that I'm probably heavily invested in my special attack. Also, this was Terra Fairy Garganical. I apologize, I did not mention that earlier. So this is Terra Fairy, so I need to play around this potentially tearing here or later in the match accordingly. So obviously he can easily go for something like the Salt Cure. He could go for Stealth Rocks. He could potentially also start to go for a type of setup move and Curse or Iron Defense. So I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna go for Rocks. I'm gonna bring in Komala. I can Rapid Spin, I can Knock Off, or I can Super Fang, as he ends up making the aggressive play and goes for the Body Press, which does a really huge chunk of damage to me. So this kind of sucks because now this really limits exactly what I can do with my Komala, but we are in a bit of an unfavorable situation because I need to figure out, do I want a superpower? Do I want to go for the U-turn potentially? I don't think he's going to go for hazards just because I can go for the Rapid Spin. So I decided to go for the superpower on the off chance that maybe he tries to set up, so I can at least prevent him from being too much of a threat, as he actually brings in the Mandibuzz as we take the Rocky Helmet damage. So this is going to end up being very annoying later in the match if this Mandibuzz keeps its Rocky Helmet. So I decided to go for the knockoff as I am able to live the Rocky Helmet recoil. The Rocky Helmet effect as he goes for the Roost. So now, if anything, I can at least try and save my Komala for Death Water, because there is a good chance he might just go for something like the Foul Play or the Brave Bird. We know he's got Roost, we know he's got Toxic now, so it's just a matter of figuring out what his final two moves are. So I'm gonna bring in Ho. Don't think he's gonna go for the Toxic as he goes for the Foul Play. This is nice because now I'm in the position of where I can maybe predict the Garganical to come in, I could go for the Hurricane, and if he is physically defensive, Hurricane actually has a really good chance to KO him here. So I'm thinking, okay, if he is physically defensive, he most likely is not going to want to stay in here. So what I can try and do is go for the Flamethrower, and even if Garganical comes in on the Flamethrower, I still get off some type of chip damage. Unfortunately though, he stays in and he goes for Toxic. And I think in an earlier build I actually did have Fire Blast and Hurricane, and I think Fire Blast along with Hurricane, they are the same base power, so Fire Blast here would have been into a KO, and this would have been a better scenario for me to just go for a second Fire Blast, because I could have pressured this to switch out and this would be a little bit lower of HP. But unfortunately I last minute changed the Flamethrower, and now after getting Toxic, I'm thinking, okay, now he's gonna switch into Garganical because he doesn't want to take the hit, but he stays in and goes for the Roost. I guess in hindsight I probably should have switched out. Like, this Mandibuzz I really overlooked in this build. The main thing was that there is a good chance that Tom makes playoffs and we might face him in playoffs, so I don't want to bring anything entirely too serious. But regardless though, Calm Mind Ho is still a pretty big threat to him in this matchup, so regardless I'm going to be able to do some damage here with a +1 Flamethrower as I catch the incoming Garganical that does absolutely nothing by the way. But I'm expecting him to most likely want to try and get up his Stealth Rocks here, if he does have them on this. If he's a Stealth Rocking variant of Garganical, that means he most likely isn't a setup variant, which is actually also really good for me. So I figured I'm just going to go ahead and switch out of here, thinking he's either going to go for Rocks or he's going to go for the Salt Cure as I bring in my Komala. He decides to pull a switch out here into his Mandibuzz, which was a really good call on his end. Like, I did not think he would make this play. I thought, as I said, he would go for a setup or go for the Salt Cure or the Rocks. And now I'm a bit of... Okay, sorry about that. Ended up having to do something real quick. But at this point, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with my Komala. I'm thinking maybe he's going to go straight for the offensive move, or maybe Toxic, thinking I won't bring back in my Ho-Oh, fearing the foul play. Unfortunately though, he catches me on my Ho-Oh switch in, and now I need to switch out again. Now he does not know that I don't have recovery here, so I'm banking on him hopefully not going for a Toxic as I bring in my Ting-Lu here. Now I do have Rocks and Spikes on my Ting-Lu. Unfortunately though, I don't really have a good way of dealing with this Mandibuzz. I do have the Ruination, so if anything I can try and force him to roost and then go from there as he goes for the Toxic on my Ting-Lu, and I will at least be able to do some damage here with the Ruination. Unfortunately, in the long run, it's not going to be winning me this 1v1 because he was able to Toxic me. So knowing that he's got the Defog, I'm going to go for my Stealth Rocks here as he goes for the Roost. And my thinking was that, okay, if I get up Hazards here, he is going to be pressured to go for the Defog because he doesn't want me to just Hazard stack him for free. So I'm going to bring in my Enamorous because I am contrary. I will get the evasion boost, and at that point it'll make it a lot harder for him to hit my Enamorous with any type of offensive move. Either that or he's fearing me getting the evasion boost and he doesn't go for Defog. So he does go for Defog as I bring in my Enamorous here, and now with +1 evasion, the thought is, do I want to go for Play Rough? Do I want to go for Superpower? Unfortunately, because he's got the Muck, I'm expecting that to be most likely his switch in, and I need to gain some type of information on that Muck just because I don't know what he's going to want to be running on it. So he does make the switch directly into the Muck here as I go for the Superpower. I ended up checking the damage calc, and I don't think he's running any defense investment, but he is running max HP most likely. So I could stay in and I could just keep spamming Superpower and hope that he misses a potential Poison Jab or Gunk Shot. And unfortunately, that's not going to help me in the long run here just because I'm so far on the back foot already. I have 2 Pokemon that are poisoned, and I have a Komala that is basically useless. So I'm going to bring in my Ho-Oh here, expecting him just to go for the poison move. I can take the hit, get some regenerator HP once I switch out and sack off Komala, as he actually ends up going for the knockoff. Now this is a little bit annoying because I was hoping to maybe not take an offensive move there, especially if he had something like Toxic. He could have gone for Toxic there, or maybe even like the Haze is something he could have had, but he does end up making the aggressive play there by going for the Poison Jab. Knockoff, sorry, as I end up bringing in my Tinglu here. And he does reveal to have the rock move and rock slide. So I'm glad I did not stay in there. Like, I completely overlooked this Muck, man. I really did not think Muck would come to this matchup. Like, it is a massive issue because I am not properly prepared. Like, if I was physical Ho, this thing would not be a problem. If I had Earth Power and Nemesis, this thing would not be a problem, but things are not looking that good right now. He ends up bringing in the Primarina as I switch out here into my Enamorus. Unfortunately, I don't have the best answer to this Primarina, and there is a chance that it could maybe be like Calm Mind potentially. I was thinking something like Assault Vest Primarina would make a lot of sense here. So I'm just going to try and go for the Play Rough to get off a little bit of chip damage on this to at least make it easier for my Dragonite late game to pick off if I'm able to get up a Dragon Dance, as unfortunately I miss Play Rough. So that sucks because I don't get any information on this Primarina. The only information that I have is that it's not running any attack EVs, which it's a Primarina. It's not going to be running attack EVs anyways. So that really sucks, as now he gets a switch initiative or switch momentum here because I did miss my Play Rough. I guess I could have gone for the superpower, but that really wouldn't have helped me out, honestly, because as you can see here, he can just bring in the Mewtwo, and this should most likely have Ice Beam, so there's no reason for me to have gone for the superpower to get the boost when I could have just gone for Play Rough and got off damage on the Primarina while also trying to figure out what set it was exactly running. So he knocks out my Komala. Unfortunately, Komala did not do too much here in its debut, but it's fine, as I can now bring in my Tinglu. At this range, there should be no way that he knocks me out with any one hit. He's not life orbed. I'm not worried about him hitting me entirely too hard, so I'm hoping to either try and get up a hazard or maybe do some type of damage to this Mewtwo without it getting out of hand this early on in the match. Essentially, I don't think it's going to go for any type of setup, and I don't think it's going to pull out something that should threaten my Tinglu, so it's not entirely too bad right now for me, I think, as I decided to go for my Stealth Rocks. And the nice thing about this is that, again, much like earlier in the match, I put him in a scenario of where he is either going to allow me to keep up Stealth Rocks, or he's going to go for Defog. Now, he already knows that my Enamorus is going to get the evasion boost, so I'm hoping that he doesn't go for Defog here, but if he does, I can get that evasion boost, and I've already got prior chip damage off on the Muck, which is very hopeful here, because much like earlier, I can just superpower again. I get that attack and defense boost, and that puts me in a bit of a better scenario to try and knock out the Muck with my Enamorus, even though I'm sure Muck is his answer for my Enamorus. So he switches out here, not wanting to risk potentially missing the Toxic, because I mean, I have an evasion boost. Toxic is already 90 accuracy, so there is a good chance that it's going to miss on me. As I do catch the incoming Muck, I believe here I was just checking damage calcs on what exactly I should do. I'm a +1 defense, +1 attack. I'm going to go for the Play Rough, for the Play Rough, as he misses the Poison Jab, and this is amazing because now I can go for the Poison Jab. So this does kind of make up for me missing the Play Rough on the Primarina, because I get rid of Muck. I'm a +2 attack, +2 defense. I'm in a really good spot, except for the fact that he still has Mewtwo in the back. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there should be a very solid chance that Mewtwo should have Ice Beam. There's no reason for him to not have Ice Beam as coverage on Mewtwo for my draft, just because a good majority of my draft is very Ice Weak. So as this moment was happening in the actual battle, it did not click in my mind that Mewtwo can just come in and go for Ice Beam. So I'm thinking I'm in a very, very amazing position. I have the advantage right now. It was a little bit rough at the beginning. As in comes the Mewtwo, this is where it starts to sit in. Oh, wait a minute. He could Ice Beam here. And that's his only out to getting rid of my Enamorus. So I'm thinking, okay, if he's going to Ice Beam here, then I should probably sack something off, then bring in my Dragapult and try to get on my screens, so I can at least still have a chance to win with my Dragon Dance Dragonite late game. So that was kind of my thought process here, and I'm thinking, do I sack off Ting-Lu or should I sack off Ho-Oh? Ho-Oh being toxic does nothing in this match, and I can at least still save my Enamorus to try and set up and break something later, or go for the Healing Wish into my Ho-Oh, but he goes for the Ancient Power, and I was so mad at myself because there was no way he knocked us out with Ancient Power. And I honestly think I might have put myself in a winnable position, because getting off a huge hit on the Mewtwo with +2 Enamorus would have meant that it was 100% in range of me revenging it with either my Dragapult or E-Speed from my Dragonite. Now, +2 player off wouldn't have knocked out Mewtwo, but it would have severely weakened it, and then he reveals to have the Grass Knot. So he's got Ancient Power, Grass Knot, and Side Strike. At this point, I'm convinced he does not have Ice Beam, and now I need to try and figure out a different way to win this matchup. Man, I had it right there. Weakening Mewtwo into range of my Dragapult or Dragonite would have put me in such an amazing position, not to mention that I wouldn't have had to have lost my Ting-Lu, although I guess the Mandibuzz still could have been a little bit annoying, but depending on how I played around it, I think we could have maybe handled it. But you know, it is what it is. As I bring in my Dragapult, because I don't have any prior damage on this Mewtwo, I'm not gonna knock it out with my moveset. So I go for the light screen, we take the Side Strike obviously. So now the question is, do I want to go for the Reflect or should I go for U-turn? If I get both of my screens up, that is really nice because it helps my setup, but the issue with that is that I need to find the correct positioning to bring in one of my mons to set up. I have Calm Mind Ho-Oh, I have Superpower Enamorus, and I have Dragon Dance Dragonite, but if they can't set up in the proper positions, then it's not really that good for me. So I go for the Curse, as I actually end up catching the incoming Garganical. Now this makes sense because he doesn't know my moveset. He probably thought that I was going to go for something like Shadow Ball, which makes a lot of sense. So being able to catch the incoming Garganical is really nice because now I can try and get some type of chip damage on this to put it closer into range of where I can bring something in to beat it 1v1. So I believe I clicked Reflect here if I'm not mistaken. I just wanted to see what this Garganical wanted to do. Regardless of whether or not it stays in, I'm still going to be doing 25% to it because of the curse that I did inflict on it with my Dragapult here. So he goes for the recover, that's fine by me. What I can do now the next turn is potentially go for the U-turn if he wants to switch out. If he wants to switch out, that's amazing. If he doesn't want to switch out, that also works. So he does switch out here, as I believe I do end up going for the U-turn on the incoming Mandibuzz. Now this thing being at full HP is a very, very big problem. So I'm debating on whether or not I want to bring in Enamorus or Ho-Oh because I can't bring in Dragonite. Dragonite is not going to beat this Mandibuzz 1v1 whatsoever, especially because it is so bulky along with Toxic and Roost. Dragonite, even with Terra, is going to end up losing to it. So I'm going to bring in my Ho-Oh in hopes that maybe I can, if I force in Garganical, then I can go for Earth Power. But here I think, alright, if Garganical's coming in, then I can bring in my Enamorus. With me having Reflect and Light Screen up, I can start spamming Superpower to break down this Garganical. Even if he does want to go for Terra, if I boost up enough then Enamorus should still be able to beat this Garganical 1v1. Unfortunately, he didn't bring Zamazenta Crowned, so my item is completely useless here. Maybe if I had something like Citrus Berry or Leftovers, that would have been a little bit more helpful in this scenario, but I mean, hey, you can only prep so much, right? And I guess it did kind of make sense for Zama Crown to not come to this match. I'm really surprised though he didn't bring Zama or his Reshiram. So he's going to make the smart play here and go straight for his Terra Fairy, most likely expecting me to go for the superpower, because at this point that is my best out. I do have the Reflect Up, so with superpower giving me a boost in my defense, I will live any type of rock move he wants to go for, as he goes for the Stone Edge. Does nothing, which is amazing because now I can either go for another Stone Edge, or I can go for the Play Rough, or if I am feeling a little bit cheeky, I can go for the Tailwind. But at this point, I need to try and get rid of something. Unfortunately, my Light Screen is going to go down in 2 turns. So I'm trying to figure out if I should go for the Play Rough here into a KO, potentially. But the issue with that is that he can go for the Recover. Another issue with that is that he could go for Stone Edge. If he gets a crit, that's really bad. Maybe he misses Stone Edge. That's also pretty good for us. So I go for the superpower, just trying to get the second boost, as he does end up going for the Recover. So if I did go for the Play Rough there, then it would have been very bad for me. So I think superpower was the correct play. And much like the turn before, should I Play Rough? Should I superpower? Should I Tailwind? As he goes for Stone Edge, he misses. And maybe if I had gone for the Tailwind there, I could have gone for 2 Play Roughs here and knocked him out, but I guess he could have gone for Recover depending on how things went. I could have maybe superpowered on a predicted Recover. I don't know. It was a really tough call to make in that scenario, because I need Tailwind up to even do some type of damage to the Mewtwo, and as I mentioned earlier, even at +2 attack, I don't one-shot the Mewtwo. But getting off that damage still would have been really good. So ultimately, I just decided to get my KO here with the Play Rough. If I'd gone for another superpower, I don't think I would have knocked him out in 2 hits. So just going for the Play Rough there, regardless, was the best play I think I could have done, because I don't think I would have been able to get out of that scenario with having Tailwind up, getting rid of Garganical, and still doing some type of damage to the Mewtwo. As in comes the Mewtwo, I'm going to go ahead and sack off my Ho-Oh to the Ancient Power, and my thought was that I can sack off Ho-Oh, I can bring in Dragapult, get up screens, then bring in Dragonite, and just start going for Dragon Dances and go for game, as unfortunately he gets the special attack boost along with every other boost on the Mewtwo with the Ancient Power. I don't remember the last time I saw Ancient Power get an Omni boost, so that kind of sucks. But it's fine, he's only at +1. I can still bring in my Dragapult maybe, and get up my screens and try and go from there, or at least bring in Dragonite and maybe try and win with that. But this is not that great, because not only did he get the boost the previous turn, he gets back-to-back. He gets back-to-back boosts. You can't make this up, man. Like that's game. I don't win. This it's over. I lose. That's it. I mean, it's my fault. It's my fault. I let Mewtwo get 2 Ancient Power boosts. I'm gonna take accountability here, and that is completely my fault. Unless I super crit him with something, I don't win. Like, 1 boost might have been manageable, but the fact that he got back-to-back boosts, yeah, that's basically over. Like, there's nothing I can do here. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. This was a very uphill battle from the beginning. Mandibuzz was just a giant issue. Tom prepped very, very well. I can't fault him for getting lucky in this matchup. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, luck is part of Pokemon. It was annoying, I'm not gonna lie. It was a little bit annoying. But again, it's one of those matchups where it's like, well, if we face him in playoffs, then we didn't bring the best that we could have brought, and we can go from there in a potential rematch. So yeah, Mewtwo, +2 Mewtwo in every stat. You deserve to lose to a +2 Mewtwo in every stat. So yeah, I mean, here we are. We get just completely tossed. I think we lost 4-0. This is the worst loss we've had this season. The only loss we've had this season. So we have 2 more games for the season. Hopefully we can still end off with a high seed. And regardless, if worst comes to worst, we're still in playoffs, and at that point we still have a chance to get that Gen 9 championship. So yeah, good game to Tom. Check him out. Channel link will be down below. With that being said, I will see you all next week with week number 8, which will be live. I promise you, week 8 will be live. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Later, everybody.